We are not identified by the color of our skin. And you know that our true identity is in Christ. And that is what's going to break the back of these culture wars in this country are men and women, you, that understand whose you are and who loves you, and carry that with you. One of my life anchor verses is Romans 8:28. God is able to cause all things. Say all things. That's the good, the bad, and the ugly. Say all things. All things to work together for your good. And friends, I 100% believe that. And as believers, when we unite and rally around that and we don't give way to fear, we don't give way to doubt, we don't give way to worry, but we say, no, I know who my papa is. I know who the creator of the heavens and the earth is. He's my daddy. And he loves me, he loves us, he loves this nation. And as Donald Trump said, I don't believe he'll let this nation go to the way of socialism. This is the land of the free and the home of the brave because we are Americans. God bless you.
Amen. Okay. So let's watch what Mike Lindell did when he took on the FBI.
It's a different one.
Yeah, all right. Okay. All right, so before I let you guys leave this platform, I want, Jason, I'm going to go out of order. I know that shocks you. I'm going to show you a clip from one of our very first FlashPoint Lives. How many of you were in Tulsa? Yeah? Wow, a lot of you. Thank you. Thank you. The rest of you, you missed it. But I want you to see, this is what happened in Tulsa. So play that, then I'll tell you what happened yesterday. So play the clip. We invited President Donald J. Trump to come join us tonight. He couldn't do that. But I guarantee you he's going to see this video if he's not watching live. So Dale, if you're taking a camera shot, I want you to tell President Trump what you think of him right now. That's right. All right. So that's what happened in Tulsa. He finally saw the video yesterday. Let me show you what he said. That's you guys. Give yourself a hand, huh? So glad you're here. So glad you're here.
And but we went up and down these neighborhoods, giving away pillows and blankets and so on. And this Hispanic neighborhood, we had an interpreter, and it was very interesting to me. They weren't coming up going, oh, you know, talking about pillows. They were coming up to me and interpretation saying, don't give up, save our country. They had lost all their physical possessions, and they're worried about their future of their kids and grandchildren, right. Not worried about the physical things. Even though they had lost all that, they were deeply concerned, and a lot of them in tears. And so that's where I'm at. With my company, it's like, all of you always give us support. So when we get attacked, we know that God has our back, and my employees, I have over 2,000, and they thank the Lord every day, and we have I know how it's united us, what's went on the last couple of years, because in my company, I have some of my own family members are very left and very liberal, and they've came to the middle now going, oh, gee, I guess socialism isn't having a cup of coffee with your friend. We skipped right over that. to communism, you know. That's what they brainwashed kids in our colleges. They took God out of our schools, brainwashed our kids. And I tell you what, God gave us grace for such a time as this. We have grace the last 2 years because all these bad things going on, it's bringing people together. This has all been on God's timing. I wanted everything to happen, as you know, overnight. You Google patience, it's not a picture of me, trust me.
Stand to your feet and welcome Kari Lake. So good to see you. Really so good. Please, have a seat.
Thank you so much. Wow. Thank you so much. Whoa. Wow. This is amazing. I love the love in this room. I love it.
We met a while back, and you had just announced that you were going to run for governor. And what struck me about you was, of course, you and I both come from the television side of things, and understanding, I related a lot to what you had to say. Of course, 95% of what I've done has been in ministry, but we've had to deal with a lot of the same issues. Having said that, as this campaign has gone on, I know like so many of you in the room, you've watched these videos. And what I have appreciated the most is how you have handled the hecklers, the journalists, the mainstream media. And here's why: not because you're being a jerk, but you call them out. You know, you call them out like, hey, you knew it. That's a stupid question or whatever you say. You know, that you call them out like you're trying to make something out of nothing. In your own words. So thank you for standing strong. And that's what we like.
Thank you. I have to confess, this all happened, me taking on the news kind of by accident. When I first decided to run for office, I said to my team, I'm not going to talk to any of the media. They're so dishonest. I'm just going to refuse all interviews. And then we agreed to one. We gave somebody 5 minutes, and it was a hit piece. And he started asking me, he just came into it with, you could tell the agenda he was pushing. And I started to feel myself get so angry inside. And I was answering him, each question I answered him, I threw it right back at him. 5 minutes ended, we actually gave him 10 minutes. And we wrapped it up, and I called my team and I said, that was the biggest mistake, I'm never doing that again. I completely lost my cool. This is gonna end it. This is gonna end my campaign. So we watched it back. Turns out I didn't lose I actually am pretty good at keeping my cool. On the inside, it felt like I was just out of control, but it turns out I had kept my cool, and I actually put him in his place. And so my team said, are you sure you don't want to do any more interviews? We think this is actually pretty good because you're showing people how the fake news works.
That's right.
And so we started doing more and more interviews, and I really do believe we have revealed to the people how the fake news works. And here's how it is. They come at you, they throw you a question, but it's not just a simple question like, hey, where do you stand on this latest piece of legislation? They throw their opinion into it, they push a narrative, they try to make you look terrible, and then they throw the question at you. And so what we did is we started taking a video camera and a microphone, and we started showing what the press is up to. Yep.
Yeah.
And we've had some pretty good, I guess you could say, highlights from that. But the funniest thing is my husband said it not too long ago. He said, oh my gosh, I'm so relieved. I said, why? And he said, now the world knows what it's like to argue with my wife. I don't know where Jeff is. It's like, this is why I never win an argument. He said, you can make me, who's an expert in what I know I'm an expert in, think I'm not an expert in that anymore. So Anyway, we're just trying to expose to real people what the media's been up to. And if they're going to lie every single day about people like me and people like President Trump and all kinds of us, you know the names they've called us. If they're going to lie about us, what else are they lying about?
That's right.
What are they lying about when it comes to covering the events of the world? Can we trust them with that? I don't think we can. That's why I say turn it off. Go to Gene. I get more from your newscast. I really do.
Thank you.
I admire you, and I'm a little bit jealous because you actually get to be a journalist and you're covering the truth. And it was that moment when I was working from home. Gene's like, can I ask a question, Kari? Let me say one more thing. But
it's like talking to Lance Wallnow right now.
They say that a woman needs to get 25,000 words out each and every day, and a man only needs to get about 1,000 to 5,000 out. So I think you've already had 5,000 words, right, Gene?
I'm done. What are you clapping for?
So I forget what I was about to say. Where was I with that before I...
You were finishing up your statement.
Okay, it'll come back to me right in the middle. When Gene starts talking, it'll come back to me.
Yeah, okay. So,
oh, I know what it was.
See, there it is.
Okay. So when I was having this difficulty realizing I was going to walk away from my career, and I know that may not sound like a difficult thing, but it really was because it was a 30-year career. It was what I knew. It was what I excelled at. It was a large paycheck. It kept our family fed. And I remember the day I looked down and I had my news scripts over here, and I had the Bible over here. I was at home, so I was reading the Bible. As a 50-something-year-old, I was starting to reread the Bible. And I was in a commercial break, and I was reading the Bible, and then I had to go back to reading the news scripts. And I thought, wow, this is the truth, and these are the lies. These are the lies. And that's what's being put out every day in the news. They sprinkle a few stories in there that make us feel good, but there's a lot of lies in there. We have to use discernment. We have to pray to God for discernment right now. We really do.
Kari, go ahead, give her a hand. Once you declared your candidacy, what was the biggest surprise that you've run into in this campaign?
Well, I'll start with immediately. We declared on June 1st. I threw my hat into the ring, and I didn't know what to expect, but I do know that everything I've ever attempted to do, I put my whole heart and soul into it, and I never, ever imagined myself failing. And I didn't know what to expect. I'd never been in politics. I didn't even know how to run for office. I had to call the AZ GOP and say, how do you run for office? Because, I mean, how many in here would know how to run for office?
Right.
Even though our founding fathers expected people like us to run, they expected God-fearing people who loved their country to step forward and run. We don't even know how to run, right? I can't be the only one who didn't know how to run. And so I figured that out. We finally assembled a small team of people who we knew were good people who loved Arizona. And we announced, and we were stunned by the level of excitement. It was abnormal. It was not what you would typically see in politics. Somebody sent me a picture the next day, June 2nd, of a young girl, maybe 20 years old. She had made a homemade sign that said Kari Lake for governor. We hadn't even printed anything at that point. And I thought, that's kind of interesting. Here's somebody one day after we announce on the street corner holding a Kari Lake for governor sign. And so that is what first made me think maybe there's more to this. It took us 3 weeks to get the signatures to be on the ballot. It normally takes a candidate 9 months, and they have to pay for those signatures. So I realized early on, thank you. It's you guys. It's not even me. It's you guys ready for electing somebody who will represent and work for you. That's what it's about. There's nothing on these cards.
Yeah, I don't. There's no teleprompter. I have to just.
But isn't that funny? You know how often you do the show.
Yes, I do. See? Wait a minute.
We need to do
You're
a comedy event
now. Go ahead. Ask what question you want to ask.
How often do you really read the prompter, though? You're a journalist.
Yep.
And so much of it is conversation.
It is.
And you don't need a card.
No.
And so when people were telling me, when people were telling me when I first got into this, they were accusing me, what does she know? Why would she run for office? Who does she think she is? She read a teleprompter. I wanted to tell them, oh my gosh, you have no idea how many nights a teleprompter didn't work. And so often you're just communicating with people and there's no prompter there.
That's right. Okay. I'm just going to skip my question and go to the next one. I want to invite back out to the stage from the Western Journal, Floyd Brown, David Harris Jr. Bring him back in, and Mike Lindell. Would you bring him? All right. All right, so the reason I brought these guys back out is because they know Kari, they know the situation. Of course, every one of my guests here tonight is very involved in what's going on with the nation, as well as their individual states, and Mike is involved in everything.
Gene, hey Gene, did you think if you invited 3 more guys out that I wasn't going to talk
I had
as
to
much?
get reinforcements.
Gene, you needed reinforcements.
I did, man. I was
needed
sinking fast.
Actually, with Mike, I might not talk as much.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
See, this is the King James Version, New Living Testament, Amplified Classic. All right, so Mike, I'm going to give you the first question. So I figured maybe the further I sit from Kari, the more opportunity I'll have to be in charge. But Mike, you've been around a lot of politicians and wannabes. And, you and I were talking backstage before the show tonight, and we were talking about how you were the first one to talk about Kari Lake to President Trump. Tell that story.
Well, when I met Kari, it was May of 21. We confirmed that backstage, and I had never endorsed anyone. I didn't know it. Remember, I didn't know much about politics, being an ex-crack addict, right? And I didn't think
I don't know.
they were
That could have helped. It may have helped.
But I'll tell you what. I had started meeting. From 2016, when I first met President Trump in a private meeting, just him and I, on August 15, 2016. From that point on, I met so many politicians, both sides. And I'll tell you what, it was very hard to count on one hand people that didn't have another agenda, either a party agenda, personal agenda, some other kind of agenda. They didn't have what I've seen in Donald Trump, an agenda that was to help people, all people, problem, solution, and what it would manifest to. Well, I didn't have to spend more than two minutes with Kari, and I'm going when she was telling me where she came from and why she was, taking action into her own hand to run for governor. What we talked maybe 15 minutes, and there were a lot of people there too, but that was a divine appointment. What I had went there for didn't manifest into what I was there for, but it was a divine appointment of meeting this great lady. And I will tell you, she was the first one that I talked to the president about. I go, I don't want to say anything, but this Kari Lake lady, I mean, she is amazing. And what I like, that they, coming from the media, because by then I was well versed in the media, and from both sides. First they loved me, then they didn't, and I didn't change, they did, and we had a lot in common there, talking about, because it was getting canceled everywhere, and
I'll tell you the greatest thing about running for office. I didn't realize when you're a good journalist, you really aren't free to speak your opinions. Right. People said, "We didn't know you were conservative. Are you really conservative?" I go, "That's because I was a good journalist. I wasn't showing that."
Right.
He said, "Do some soul searching, but if you're not ready to be partisan," and I know that sounds like a bad word, but that means you're ready to talk about what's important.
That's right.
And he was right, but I had 30 years of training myself to keep my opinion quiet. And it was hard to push that out. Now that it's out, I love it. It's so much fun, so freeing.
All right.